Oh, we're talking about anything in particular?
I thought you said you had text.
Well, we do this, but do you have anything you want?
970-385-1053 to talk to the Rock Doctor.
Whatever.
Call, text your question at
We'll play it right here.
970-553-9000.
We always do. Even if I tell you what I want to talk about, we don't end up talking about it.
Yeah, we do.
Well, for like a minute, and then we like.
I'm not interested in it. We don't talk about it.
Listeners should not rely on information.
Kidding.
I know.
Any questions regarding
You
your
wanna say
health,
anything?
talk to
You
your
wanna say
primary
anything?
care physician or the professional healthcare provider.
Yeah.
What are you whispering about?
This is much more her thing than mine. So. She's the extra little.
That is true.
Your Rock Doctor.
Oh, indeed, the Rock Doctor is on your radio.
Woohoo!
Dr. Nicola, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good
Ready
morning.
for a little snow tonight and tomorrow?
I'm ready for. We're planning on going up to Prairie tomorrow, so.
All right, talk close. You always do. She always leans like way in front of the microphone.
Here we go.
There,
This
thank
is
you.
I mean, I haven't been doing this for
Wait.
40 years like some people.
Okay, wait a minute. Why
Why
is
don't
this-
you turn on my microphone?
I did turn it on. I don't know what Billy does in here.
You always blame Billy.
Well, because he's not here to defend himself.
Fair enough.
Right? Come on.
Mm-hmm. But
Just
I know,
working
but don't blame me. If
I-
you don't turn my microphone on, it's your fault.
You're okay, fine. It's because I'm blonde. I get it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
All right, 970-385-1053 is the phone number if you want to call in and talk to Dr. Nicola, or you could text us at 970-553-9001. What a week. Buddy of mine's getting ready. He's having a medical procedure done next week.
Oh, uh-huh.
And he's describing the whole thing. They're doing some kidney thing on him.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, so they're going to just, cut back by your kidney.
Mm-mm.
Apparently not. No, they
Nope.
start at the belly button and go up to the sternum and take everything out and set it on a table and then do. And I'm like, wait, isn't the kidney in the back?
Yeah, but you don't want to go through all the spinal nerves, right? So.
Well, I don't want to have 30 feet of intestines laying out on a table either.
I know.
but-
As crazy as it sounds, taking all of your intestines out and putting them on the table next to you is probably safer than.
Oh,
going through your
wait a minute.
spinal cord.
Wait. I can't. Where's the pancreas? No.
It's pretty wild. I would really love to know from a surgeon how they get all those intestines back in place. Because that's a lot to maneuver, even just the
How
logistics of it.
large is your intestine? I mean,
Yeah, I would say about 30 feet.
30 feet long.
The small intestine, right. And then the large intestine has to sit over the thing and do its little bends and all that sort of stuff, I mean, it's pretty specific.
That just weirds me out.
Me too. I would not be able to do that.
Well, you're not a surgeon either, so.
There's a specific reason I am not a surgeon. No one wants me in their OR.
Well,
I go all like faint and like vasovagal.
I know she got all squeamish just over a little kidney stone. I mean, over a
Yeah.
big kidney
A
stone
big kidney stone. Yeah.
that I left here in the studio.
I know. I went to shadow one of the GI docs here in town one time, and he was like, "Well, come in and watch me do some colonoscopies." And I was like, "Okay," and I had my, my jacket, my suit jacket, and I was all dressed up, and they start getting ready, and I just start feeling faint, and then I start the sweat, and then I'm like,
Really?
"Oh yeah." And then both he and the GI doc and the anesthesiologist were like, "Do you need to go to the bathroom?" I was like, "Mm-hmm." I left and took about 10 minutes and had to get myself back together, and I was able to come back in and spend the rest of the day in procedure. But yeah, that's not, if I'm doing it, it's not that big of a deal. But watching procedures, I'm not the one you want in an emergency situation.
Of the doctor here tomorrow.
I know, prevention is definitely more my angle than anything else.
Well, and that's fine because we've talked about that. I mean, why not spend $100 to prevent something as opposed to $10,000 to try and cure something?
I mean, to me, not only does it make more physiological sense so that I'm not fainting with you,
Sure.
but it makes more or economic sense too.
Well, no wonder you got all weird when I took off my clothes to get that shot at your office.
So that's for different reasons. It's not so much the nudity; it's the surprise nudity that kind of flusters me.
I wasn't nude. I kept my shorts on.
Más o menos. I mean, you have to drop them a wee bit for the shot.
Well,
You didn't have to take off your shirt. That was what was confusing.
Well, she put on this music that I figured she wanted to
Lights
show.
down
so
low.
Like, yeah, here we go. Mm-hmm.
Jackson does have that disco light he likes to bring out.
Yeah, see? That's your son.
Yes, that's my son.
He has a disco light.
He does.
He doesn't even know what a disco is.
He doesn't, but he knows how to get down when the lights are low. That's true. He's into it. He really, really is.
She's the rock doctor.
I know.
Oh, I got my 3-year-old grandson. We had some plumbing work being done, and the crew's out there. The guy just had his iPod going, and some rave song comes on.
Oh,
You know, Daru or whatever that is. And little 3-year-old starts shaking his ass and doing the hand motions.
Oh, really?
I'm like, what? Where did you learn how to do all that?
I think it's innate because I was trying to indoctrinate Jackson to Led Zeppelin and that sort of stuff rather than the oot, 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 you know. And he just starts banging his head and his hair's long now and it's all coming forward. And I'm like, it's just innate. They just know how to do that.
I knew I liked her kid for a reason. He's a rocker. All right,
He
fair
totally
enough.
is.
No, I was just a 3.5-year-old doing the,
They just
locked his fingers together and was doing the like ocean roll thing with it. And I'm like,
That's awesome.
that's not innate. How do you learn how to, what is that?
I really think some kids just got it. I do.
All right. No,
I don't
brought
know.
another one.
I spent a decent amount of time in Latin America, and the kids, like, I feel like they come out of the womb salsa dancing.
Who was was it Los Lonely Boys when they were up here at the fort a couple of years ago? I brought another one of my grandkids up there. He was like 2.5 at the time. And, you know, they're playing their set. We're side stage, you know, just hanging out, talking to everybody. And I put Robbie up on the table, and he starts shaking his butt. The band sees, and they're watching him. It's like, no, look that way.
They just know. But this is what's cool is that as kids, we just know. We listen to our bodies so much. Like, we let our emotions out. We don't hold it in. We ask for what we need, even if it's not at the right time. Like, if I'm hungry, I'm hungry. It doesn't matter that it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I think we grow out of that as adults. And I think that's one of our biggest missions in life as adults is to actually come back to that connection that we had with our bodies and our physiology when we were little.
Why do we do that? I mean, my kids, as they grew up, you know, they would always, you know, we'd end up having that conversation, you know, where you're, you know, they're not kids anymore, but they're not adults, and I would just say, stay a kid as long as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. But they don't want to, right? Because they want
to grow up because they want to drive cars, drink beer, and smoke cigarettes.
Right. They want all the privileges that they think being a fun adult comes with, right?
Yeah. Now they've got kids of their own, and they're like, should have listened to you,
Dad. I know. I should have just hung out a little while longer.
All 9 of them, they've all said the same thing to me. You were right. Mm-hmm. Like, score!
I know. But I think there's a common, in my opinion, myth that we all buy into that becoming an adult means you have to work hard and you can't have any more fun unless you pay for your week at Disneyland, and by God, you better have a boatload of fun because this is your week, you know?
A week at Disneyland, man, you take out a second mortgage.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, there's that,
or be a doctor or something, you know, where you're filthy rich.
Filthy rich. That's exactly how.
See, she said it.
Yeah, I definitely am. Yes. It's probably all the supplemental income from doing this show.
You and me both. We're both getting rich doing this show. Let me tell you. That deck is getting done quicker and quicker at my house.
Great.
Yeah.
When you're done with yours, you can come do ours.
Break out that big doctor checkbook, and I will.
Well, that's my point. We can talk. I'll bring you green drinks.
And green paste?
I don't do green paste.
Sludge?
That already came out of your kidney.
Yeah, it did. You want to see it?
No.
I got it here.
I'm
going to have that mounted onto a chain. I'm going to carry.
You could like wrap it like they do those precious crystals, you know?
Yeah, because that was a pretty good size. That was probably a 1 carat diamond size.
I bet Sticks and Stones down the street would buy it from you. It's a whole new kind of stone.
Yeah, I never thought about that. I could make money. I am going to go back to drinking all that diet soda. I'm gonna pop out a kidney stone. Think I can do 2 a year and be all right?
2 a year, yeah. You definitely make enough money to live off of selling 2 kidney stones wrapped in copper wire. Sounds like a real business.
No. We got to market it this way. We say, hey, it's organic. And people will be like, oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure your kidney stones are not organic.
What do you mean they're not organic?
I'm pretty sure they're pretty heavily pesticided.
No, they're calcified.
As well.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, they're organic. They came out naturally. My body naturally produced them.
Well, organic, technically, when you're talking about a product, means free from pesticides and herbicides. And
I don't drink herbicides and pesticides.
Yes, you do.
What? What am I drinking that's a pesticide?
Yeah,
I'd like a diet DDT, please. Give me extra ice in that one.
Well, yes, absolutely. So it's those styrofoam cups that you drink your water/diet soda out of.
Now she's going to rag on me about drinking water.
Well, out of drinking out of styrofoam cups. You're asking where are you drinking these things from? Well, you're drinking. I mean, that whole BHT thing, right? When in the plastic bottles with PBA and not BHT. BHT is a
PB&J.
Yes, it gets quite confusing. There's a whole lot of letters, but the PBA, now like the Nalgene will say PBA free, but then they're using like PBB. You know what I mean? Like they're just using like it's not PBA, but it's PBB. It's because they've changed the structure slightly. You know what I mean? Basically, my point
IDC. I don't care. I'm thirsty.
But you're asking about, how are these things coming into your body if you're not like out there chasing the crop duster? A lot of people used to do that, right? Like,
chase the crop duster?
Chase the crop duster and play in the
clouds.
Course. Yeah, sure. It was fun.
Back when I was a kid, we did that. It was the only entertainment we had there in Wyoming. I don't know what crops they were spraying, because there wasn't any crops up there, but... Yeah.
My God, they were spraying them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chemtrails. That's what it was the chemtrails.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go there? Yeah, but I think
No.
if we're not aware and if we're not mindful, then we are ingesting a lot more toxins than we realize.
Well, how do we avoid that?
Well, I mean...
All right, so seriously, all right, you're on me about the styrofoam cups. I get that.
Yes.
So what do I drink water from?
I mean, I will prefer, like, if I'm carrying something around, then I have a glass water bottle. And you can get the glass bottles that have the plastic...
How long have you known me?
Long enough.
Glass? Jamie? Glass?
But no, what I'm saying, they've
No.
got a plastic... They have around it, not in the glass, but they've got a rubber cover.
Okay, but
So that if
you
you
right there, you
drop
just said
it
it,
or-
plastic.
Right, but that's on the outside, so it's not touching your beverage.
What's
The-
touching? Oh, the glass is
glass,
touching.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or a mason jar, or like, a lot of people I know will just buy a juice jar, like out of a glass jar, and then they'll just use that as their water bottle. Easy and cheap. You don't have to spend $30 on a water bottle. You can just recycle or reuse the
First
juice
it was
bottle.
the soda, then it's drink more water. So I
You
drink
asked
more
me.
water.
I mean,
Now
right.
I'm not drinking the right kind of water from
Uh-huh.
the right cup.
Exactly. So I'm drinking tea, but I'm drinking it out of a metal thermos.
I couldn't help but notice I got no green paste, no green drink in here today.
Oh, you want something? I brought you something.
No, I don't.
I did.
I'm just kidding.
I brought you a muffin. I thought, it's not. There's no greens in there.
Yesterday they had pizza here at the station, and there was like green stuff in the pizza, and I'm like, okay, really, what is this? I'm not kidding. I'm
Was it
not
pesto?
kidding. It was a kale pizza,
Oh yeah.
and I'm like, come on, I get enough of this on
Did you
Saturday.
try it?
Yeah, I did.
And
It was horrible.
seriously.
Seriously, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you because you lie sometimes about these things.
No, I like the kale chips and stuff that you brought in, and that your associate brought in.
Devere.
Oh, Devere brought in. It was okay.
Yeah.
The kids actually liked them, but I
Okay.
mean, it was okay.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna lie. If it tastes weird, I'm gonna tell you it tastes weird.
Okay. Fair enough.
So now what is this? This
Well, should we talk about it when we come back?
is okay. Smells organic. Is it organic?
Yes, it's definitely organic.
Wow, cool.
See?
I'm gonna eat organic stuff.
Okay. And
Nice.
then you'll have organic kidney stones, which is how we got here.
Well, that's where I want to be because I want to sell organic kidney stones. Durango, Colorado, home of the organic kidney stone.
I'm not sure that Durango wants that as a tagline at all.
But people will buy my kidney stones.
Will they? If you will buy Jamie's kidney stone, would you just text yes?
How big was that stone? I mean, how do you measure? Like when you're a doctor, I mean, do you measure that its length? Or,
Yeah. Yes. You meant yes.
so that thing was probably a good.
It's not that long.
No, it was probably I don't know in millimeters about an index card, right?
Yes.
So I mean,
It was maybe a centimeter, honestly.
yeah, it was about a centimeter long,
Yeah.
about probably a quarter of a centimeter
Yeah,
wide.
that sounds about right.
Yeah, so that was good. That's a good. So how many carats is that?
How many carats is that?
Yeah.
I
We'll say it was like a 3-carat kidney stone. Who wants to buy my 3-carat kidney stone? 970
yeah. Text us if you have any interest in this.
385-1053, or you can text us at 970-553-9001. We got some text when we come back.
Okay, great.
She's rolling her eyes already. It's the Rock Doctor, Dr. Nicola, Pyramid Healthcare on X-Rock 105.
Talked about finally getting in some turns now that ski season is almost here.
Tommy Bolak, oil guy down in Farmington, offered to buy a kidney stone of mine once.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm like, this guy's weird.
Why?
He's weird.
Yes. who would be buying your kidney stone that isn't weird?
You know, I have a necklace that's carved into a little tiny skull inside silver, and it's a tooth.
Oh, okay.
A tooth?
Yeah. They're in LA, this woman made a fortune selling teeth carved into little skulls and stuff.
Oh my god.
I'll show it to you.
What kind of a human tooth or a
Yeah,
king?
like a giant molar.
No, it's a little creepy and weird.
Where did she get the
Which I
teeth?
had to buy it.
Yeah.
She moonlights as a dentist or
Well,
something.
that's
right.
An oral
that's
surgeon
what I'm
somewhere.
wondering.
She's got a side gig.
Yeah, why did she get the teeth?
She comes in with every
That's
segment.
yes,
I'm
but that's like a
recycling
legit
teeth.
question. Because there's potential
It's a
concerns
totally
here.
legit question. All of that made me have to buy it.
She
I
probably
think I
looks
spent $50 on it.
specifically
I used to
dentist
joke-
pulls wisdom teeth. Get those big fat wisdom teeth out.
I know, but a lot of times they have to like smash them, right?
If they're like impacted, but a lot of times they can.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess.
I have a
so.
molar
Mine
back here
literally-
that
Yeah.
my
Just
dentist,
came out and I was
like, it was. He said at the time it was like the
my
biggest
brother's
filling
like,
he'd
no,
ever
they broke
done.
my
Oh, really?
jaw.
I used to joke that
I
he
was
wrote
going,
the Lord's
I was
Prayer
special
on it.
Oh, my-
Like, I
I
was
mean, he
walking
spent
to the
like an
bathroom.
hour and a half in there.
oh God.
We were living in Laguna Beach, and I made it. I was
Here we go.
Ryan's
Kind of
birthday
small.
today.
I know.
X-Rock 105, the Rock Doctor is
The big-
on the radio. 970-385-1053 is our phone number. Or you can text us at 970-553-9001. Dr. Nicola Piravita Healthcare is in the studio. No
Woo!
insurance is needed. No appointment needed.
No?
They call her Dr. Love.
I want to know who they is.
Your
Really
husband.
do.
Your husband calls you Dr. Love.
My husband's in the studio today.
Well, that's why I'm referring to
I
you.
know, but if you can't see, then you might not know that. Like most of the people on the radio.
You can't watch this?
Well, yes, you can watch it on Facebook on my Dr. Nicola page, which would be great.
All right, text here.
I gotta lean in.
970
Further, even further.
553-9001. Mandy is asking, is it okay to ask my doctor about options I have for treatments?
Yes. Not only is it okay, but it's highly, highly, highly recommended.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to know what your choices are, and because most of the time, most of us are offered this is what we're going to do to treat this, and which is great. We want our doctors or providers to be confident and have a game plan. But at the same time, I think a lot of us get intimidated around asking, well, are there any choices, or could we start with something less invasive, or what are the perceived outcomes, what are the risks, what are the what's the chances of success, and then looking at what are the other options and alternatives either that type of medicine provides or other types of medicine can provide.
Okay, I've got a broken arm.
Yeah.
What are my options?
Well, I mean, honestly, it depends on the break, right? But most of the time, your primary option is to have it casted, right, until it
Have it
heals.
set and then cast.
Right, but you want to look at, do I need surgery? Do I need a cast where I'm immobile? Is there a possibility of casting the arm and not casting the joint so I can stay mobile and have a maximum range of motion so that we have minimal damage from just not using the arm for, let's say, 6 weeks? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So there's all sorts of, and do I actually need it casted? Or is there a way to put a nice splint or brace on there? It just depends on the break and the severity of it.
Okay, 'cause the reason I brought that up is, I mean, I would not think, if I go to the doctor with a broken arm, I'm going to assume he or she knows what they're doing. Okay, I need a cast. Okay, fine, put it
Well,
on.
it depends on the school of thought, right? I mean, and Kevin's here, you might want to speak to this a little bit, but
Are you a doctor?
No.
But you played you stayed at a
I
Holiday
played
Inn
when I
Express
was
last night.
so he's done corrective exercise for a long time. It's
Okay.
not currently what he's doing, but he has a lot of expertise in it. But when actually that's how we met, is because I needed someone to refer some of my patients with musculoskeletal issues that I couldn't help. And so, kind of in his school of thought, it was more getting mobility sooner and faster is more important than having the thing immobilized. But a lot of providers still believe that you want to keep it immobilized for an extended period of time. And so there's just different schools of thoughts and different approaches and new theories that come out, and
I
some
tore up
people
my
are
knee.
better at keeping up with new information than others.
I was 16, 17, and tore up my knees skiing.
Uh-huh.
And I go to the doctor, and he says, well, you're done for the season.
Right.
And they give you the anti-inflammatories and all that stuff. 2 weeks later, I felt great and went skiing again. Guess who doesn't ski anymore?
Right. Right.
Well, 16, you're invincible. Come on.
Right. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
probably should have listened to him.
Right. I mean, and there's like, there's question marks around ACL. Like, does it always require surgery? And the answer is it doesn't always require surgery. But it depends on how bad it is and if there's a meniscus involved and all sorts of stuff. But why? Is there a possibility of starting with PT if it's not that bad of a tear, or do we just need to get in there?
PT, physical therapy.
Yes, thank you.
And look at me, huh?
See? Nice.
See, I'm getting the 411 here.
Super savvy.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
On
I
the
think.
811 on the 911.
Yeah, so for Mandy, I mean, not only is it okay, but it's really, really highly recommended. And if it's something serious, like a surgery or a very invasive treatment, let's say like chemo or radiation, I think it's really important to get a second, if not a third opinion, and make sure that 3 different experts that you speak to are in the same ballpark. And,
Sure.
it's wild to me when people go and do that. It's not like it's just a little bit different. It can be a vastly different approach.
Well, I think because you nailed it, and I don't think, well, I mean, I know you realize it, but I don't think a lot of folks realize it. Different, even doctors have different fields of expertise.
Absolutely.
You can be going to a cancer doctor, but one may have gone, what are they called, oncologists?
Yes.
Look at me, no.
Yeah.
I know the big words here today.
Right.
But, I mean, one could have, got his or her education one place, another, and where
Right.
they do a different
Right.
thing. So it's not
Right.
that one's right and one's wrong.
Well, maybe one of them is fresh out of school and so has maybe learned newer techniques.
Yeah, you
and
don't
one
have to
of them
shake
has been doing,
snakes and rattles at people.
Yeah.
There are actually things you can do.
but snakes and rattles sometimes work.
Sure. No,
Can't.
I'm not arguing.
Well, I'll tell you, my brother-in-law had cancer, and so my sister, and they got really good care. They're outside of Chicago, and so they had access to some really, really great oncologists. And my sister asked me to ask my best friend from high school, who happens to be an oncologist at Mayo, which is a research-based institution, nonprofit in Rochester, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called her, and she had a pretty different opinion around the chemotherapeutic interventions that she would have recommended given his condition and his staging and all that sort of stuff. And then she took it to a couple of other oncologist colleagues just to see, and they kind of came to this consensus, and I gave my sister the information, and it was pretty vastly different than what their doc at home had recommended, and B, what they ended up choosing. So it's not exact. Medicine is, they call it medicine a practice, right? It's not an art. The art of medicine.
You practice medicine.
Right.
You are not a
perfect.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, because you don't know.
Well, and
it's a best guess based on the information you have.
Right, and just because we went to a certain type of school and got a certain type of degree doesn't make us any less human, and ability to make mistakes, and ability to have bias, and ability to have belief systems.
You can only make a decision based on the information you have.
The information you have and how you were brought up.
Sure.
I've got a patient here, and she was, in her mid-40s, pretty aggressive breast cancer. Prognosis was pretty bad. And so she talked to her oncologist about, compassionate care, which is a different way of saying doctor-assisted suicide, which is legal here in Colorado, and was completely shut down by her doc. Like, that's absolutely not an option, and then we're not talking about that, and that's wrong, and, brought all this judgment to the table. And I think that's a problem. Whereas this doctor might not support it, believe in it, but her belief system was so heavily influencing her medical advice that it, in my opinion, becomes a problem. And so if you're not comfortable with something, that's fine. But if your patient's asking you about it, at least give them a number where they can talk to somebody or refer them out.
Sure. I didn't know that was legal in Colorado.
It is.
I like that.
Wow.
I don't have a problem with the assisted suicide thing.
I mean, I think it definitely certainly brings up some ethical issues, and where are the lines? How do you make that choice?
Here's how I make
legal?
that choice, if I may. We don't have a problem putting a horse down or a pet down when that horse breaks its leg, a pet is old
Suffering.
and suffering. Why is it compassionate to do that? But it's not compassionate to watch grandma or grandpa sitting there withering away in a bed.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I know that may be a little hard for some. Oh, that's a human life. That's your grandma. It's your grandma. Yeah, I don't want to watch my grandma or grandpa, my age. I don't want to watch my parents suffer.
Right. Yeah.
And if they want to do it and they're okay with it,
Right.
I mean, I've often said that if I was ever diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer, like a brain cancer or a painful one, I would probably not opt for the treatment. And when it got so bad, I would. I didn't know it was legal here. I was going to go to Oregon.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's really important consideration. I remember when I was deciding whether or not to put my dog Voodoo down, and
It's hard.
It's hard, but the vet sent me this little 1-page handout, and he's awesome, Dr. Dan at Tenderheart over in Bayfield. If anybody ever needs anything from him, he was so amazing, and this is primarily what he does. He just does house calls to help with end-of-life issues, and he was just lovely. But he sent me this beautiful page and was like, a very specific, objective factors, like, is he having a hard time breathing? Is he messing himself? Is he in pain? Is he suffering? Is he sleeping? Is he able to enjoy anything? And so as he progressed, that was really helpful, because I was like, well, his breathing seems okay, and he doesn't seem like he's in pain. I wouldn't say he's super enjoying life, but he's still engaged. And then as that shifted, it became easier and easier to make my decision.
Yeah.
And again, I think that, not to oversimplify the issue, but there are some objective measures that we can look at to decide, what, this person is in pain, not able to bathe or take care of themselves hygienically, not eating, not having a hard time breathing. I mean, I've had a hard time breathing just for like 12 seconds, and it was miserable. I mean, it was really unpleasant for months.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know the trouble you have breathing in here for an hour on Saturday mornings, just having to deal with me. I get that.
It's all the heavy breathing.
No, it's not heavy. It's labored breathing. I have to deal with that guy again.
Breathe through it. It's good practice. It is. It's fantastic.
Well, just remember, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think that's fair. And why wouldn't that come into the conversation as a part of considering treatments?
I think there's a place for it. I really, really do. And I mean, and I think that we're shifting a little bit, but a big part of Western allopathic medicine is this idea of heroic medicine, right? Like, I can swoop in and da-da-da, like, I can fix this and I can save this person.
I'm Captain Doctor with my black bag. Da 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 da.
Right. And it's interesting because my girlfriend Catherine, who I'm talking about, the one that went to Mayo Med School and is over there now, she originally got into primary care, and she was like, I can't do this anymore, because she felt so hamstrung around making changes. And so that's actually why she went into oncology, is because she's like, I want to be a doctor that families can have a hard conversation with. And if you've got an 86-year-old and she's got lung cancer, are you really going to open up her chest to put chemo in there and radiation?
Why would you do that?
Well, but because a lot, I mean, again, docs are humans, and we go into this profession to help primarily, most of us. And so when you're looking at telling an 86-year-old grandma with this beautiful, loving family that there's not much to be done, versus, well, we can get in there and we can do a ton, and it probably won't extend your life, and your quality of life for the last 6 months that you have is probably not going to be great, but we can do something. And not only do the docs feel, a lot of docs feel an obligation to do something, but the family is like, isn't there anything you can do? Because we get desperate and we get in our own suffering around the potential of losing someone we love.
I understand that. I've lost my parents. I know. I understand that suffering. Mm-hmm. But having grandma have to spend the next 6 months, because she's not gonna go have outpatient lung surgery. Right. You go in this morning and you're going to be back home tonight. Well,
and a lot of times the patient ends up choosing treatment for their family, because they want their family to know, I'm doing everything that I could, or we get a lot of pressure put on us to make the decision that's going to make everybody else feel better.
And look, I understand it comes down to quality of life. You can be 86 years old, be extremely active, very involved with your family, and if that's, and I'm not saying, just because you're 86, don't get treatment. No. I mean, every situation's different.
Right, absolutely. But I think that's what we have to consider. So rather than saying chemo and radiation good or bad, we have to look at each individual situation and the potential outcome and the potential downside, and does it impact quality of life? Does it impact length of life? And does it set us up for more cancers in the future? Radiation has a pretty good turnaround rate of a secondary cancer within 5 years.
Well, you're using radiation.
Yeah, right.
Radiation in itself causes
Right.
cancer.
But it's getting better and better.
Sure.
It's getting more and more specific. So I think we have to look, something like prostate cancer is really, really easy to treat, with either surgery, chemo, radiation, and in my opinion, natural substances. But
Coffee ground enemas?
those actually have a time and place. They really do.
Oh, y'all want to laugh at me, see? I know about stuff.
And it's not coffee grounds. It's you make coffee. It's not like you're... Anyway, it's you put the water
Have
of
you been
the
to
coffee.
Have you been to Mexico?
Yes.
It's coffee grounds.
It is...
What?
What do you do when you go to Mexico? Everybody else gets a pina colada and you get coffee grounds?
No, I ended up at a donkey show that I will never ever...
Oh,
I'll end up with
okay.
Alzheimer's, dementia, and all that, and that'll be an image I will never get out of my mind.
Oh my god, if you got it up with dementia and that was the only thing playing in your mind,
Oh, good luck. Yeah, that would be the universe getting
no
even
one will
with me.
take
It's like,
care of you.
you're not going to remember your family, but you're going to remember that girl and that donkey in Tijuana. Oh, no, God, forgive me. 970-553-9001 if you've got a text you want to send in, or you can call in at 970-385-1053. It's the Rock Doctor, Dr. Nicola from Pure Vita Healthcare on X-Rock 105.
Wow.
Are you all about coffee? Roasted drinking coffee from Taste Coffee.
Oh, God,
Are
we
you
go
all about coffee?
We go into the coffee.
Inside the 11th Street Station on 1101 Main
I don't think that's what they had in mind when they sponsored us for the first time.
Sun Coffee. Open Monday to Friday 7 to 3 and weekends 8 to 3.
Sorry, guys.
Billy brought up coffee that's made from cat
Check us out on
feces
Instagram and
elephant
Facebook at
feces, and it's
tastecoffeedurango.com.
$100 a
Our coffee is
pound.
so
What?
good.
They feed these cats in like Indonesia or somewhere Malaysia.
Isn't that
They
just
eat the
disgusting?
coffee beans and they pass through the cat's lemur, I think. Is that a name of a cat? Lemur?
Yeah.
Oh, lemur.
Lemur. And when the bean does not get digested, but it absorbs stuff from the digestive tract of the cat.
Why would you want anything?
I do remember reading
Really?
something vaguely about this.
What would you want?
And it's now gone from cat to elephant.
Here we go.
But I mean, the digestive tract is where we get rid
It's
of
got a certain wang to it.
Oh, good lord.
X-Rock 105, the Rock Doctor is on your radio. Dr. Nicola for Pure Vita Healthcare. Our phone number is 970-385-1053. Or you can text us. 970-553-9001. Okay, so are we done with the... Mandy, you got a 15-minute answer to a simple question.
It is a simple question, but I think it's really important. So yes, go out and advocate for yourself. Ask around. Do some homework online. Don't talk about it. And I think that's a big thing too. When we have medical issues, we tend not to talk about it, especially if it's something more that we're more sensitive to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be sitting down here at Carver's after the show, talking to my buddy, going, "Yeah, got the old prostate cancer." Yeah.
You wouldn't?
No,
Why?
I would do that over at the ranch.
Oh. Which is probably how you would end up with prostate cancer.
I'm just no. I wouldn't talk about that to anybody. I would talk about it with my doctor and maybe family.
But I think that's part of the problem, right? Is that as soon as we start talking about medical issues that are happening to us, we realize how many other people have gone through it.
Oh, right. I try to share a personal traumatic thing with you last week, and you about flipped out.
Okay, I flipped out because the kidney stone was actually here in the studio.
Well, because
But before that, I was very compassionate. It's the surprise thing. I need to know that weird stuff is coming. I'm not really good on the fly as far as emergency situations.
Well, it wasn't an emergency. It was already out. I was
Oh
done.
God, I'll tell you, my son, when he was 3, flipped over his handlebars and had to get 10 stitches above his lip. And so we're down at Inimus Surgical Hospital, and they did an amazing job, by the way. But he's like not responding to any of the pain meds that they're giving him, and so they start giving him like kitty ketamine, and like they ended up giving him some sort of Haldol type thing. I mean, like to like sedate this boy, and he was not going down. He's 3. Anyway, point of my story being, they start stitching up his face, and I'm like on my knees with my head on the metal gurney that he's laying on, lifting up my head going, "Everything's going to be fine, honey," and putting my head back down on the cold metal. I mean, it was, I'm like this close to passing out. Poor thing. Anyway.
Well, as parents, we don't want to see our kids suffer.
This is just how I'm going to be in any sort of situation
No,
like that.
one of my kids broke his arm.
My husband's over here nodding his head vehemently.
Right? My son, he broke his arm, and he was fine. And he's like, the doctor's like, okay, well, we're going to set his arm now, and they bring in that contraption that they put the Chinese finger puzzle thing. And I'm looking at that, going, what is it? Are we at the Inquisition here or the emergency room? And he goes, this is where we actually ask the parents to leave because it's not going to be very comfortable.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, okay. And my son, he was like 8 or 9. He was freaking out. And I said, I'll be right outside. Oh, as I was leaving, he lets out this scream. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So that makes my stomach turn just hearing you tell that story.
It still makes my stomach turn to even talk about it. 'Cause that's my kid.
Yeah.
Me, I don't care.
I know.
I'll pass a kidney stone.
I'm
That's
like,
no
I
problem.
wasn't there, and it's your kid. I'm like having a response. So yeah, it's not.
All right, 970-553-9001. Text here from Dave. Geez, Dave, a question, not War and Peace. I had a situation where my doctor ordered tests and medications, but couldn't tell me how much it was going to cost. Shouldn't he at least have an idea?
Well, unfortunately, Dave, a lot of it depends on insurance and whether or not you have insurance and how well your insurance covers things. And so, unless, I'm not surprised that the doc wasn't able to tell you exactly how much everything was going to cost.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine.
Because it all depends on your insurance and whether or not you have it, right?
Okay.
And something like a prescription, well, did you get it filled at Rite Aid or did you get it filled at Walmart? They all have different copay prices. And
did you get the
generic?
or the...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but
did you get the coffee grounds that were passed through the cat first?
But if you go to the lab to get your blood drawn, they should be able to tell you exactly how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that a doctor would know how much every little thing along the way is going to be.
Well, I mean, and he or she might know the baseline cost, but again, when you factor in insurance, and then it depends, right? So if I go get my blood drawn and I pay cash, it's about a third of the price that I would be billed as if I had insurance. So if I got a blood draw for my red and white blood cells, it cost me $15. But if I went through my insurance, it would be billed at $50 or $60.
But then all the copays kick in.
And then the copays, and then the reimbursement schedule. And you said it was $50, and we only pay 40%. So here's the part that just gets. Have you ever seen those printouts?
Yeah, it's the most
where it's
asinine
like, here's
thing.
your $40,000 bill is actually going to cost you $700, but let me show you all the places that it was overinflated, and that somebody paid, and then somebody else paid, and then somebody knocked off 60%, because that's just the game. It's a game. The whole thing's a game.
Well, I brought this up, I think, on the show, the lithotripsy, which is the procedure when the kidney stone gets stuck inside, that they use the sound waves to break it up.
Right.
First one I had done back in the 80s cost me like $5,000. Mm-hmm. The last time I had one done, it was over $50,000. That was what was billed. I'm like, what? Are the radio frequencies different that they're using?
Right.
No. I mean, I remember laying on the little electronic drum pad looking thing in the 80s, and I remember it's the same,
thing.
Why has the price gone up?
Well, managed care since the 80s. I mean, managed care has really changed
Are you
our
saying I'm
healthcare
old?
system. No, I'm saying
Well, I
our
am.
healthcare system's broken. Is what I'm saying.
Well, we've established that.
But I think I've told this story before. But I have a girlfriend, and she needed a very specific eye surgery, and so they called up and said, how much is this going to be? And they said, well, if you pay at time of service, it'll be $3,000. But if you pay ahead of time, it'll be $1,500. And so they're like, well, then we'll pay ahead of time. And so they paid ahead $1,500 for an eye surgery. Not bad. They get a bill after the fact for $14,000, which is, and they called up and they were like, we already paid this. And they're like, oh yes, according to our records, we're so sorry. That was just a mistake. You should never have gotten that bill. If they hadn't paid at time of service or before, the $1,500 procedure, they would have been billed $14,000 for it. I mean, that's nuts.
That's stupid.
It's nuts. I mean, I needed to send somebody for a spinal MRI, and I called up, the imaging place that I wanted it done, and it took me 4 phone calls, and them, like, I don't even know how much, like, oh, hey, well, can I call you back? I'm like, I just need to know how much this procedure costs, out of pocket, no insurance, and I got 3 different numbers, depending on who I talked to. And I was like, this is the only industry that doesn't have a price list. How are we operating like this? It's nuts.
Yeah, you're going to take a picture of my spine. You're going to put some dye inside
and
me.
Depending on who's sitting at the front desk, it might cost you $1,300 or $3,500. Like, that's nuts. That's totally crazy.
Well, that's when you go in there. No, I talked to Michelle, and she said it was 300. So
Right, exactly.
we don't have a Michelle here. Oh, don't hand me that line. I talked to
Right.
her. I know I did.
Right, exactly. But but what's happened is that docs, in order to get reimbursed fairly, docs and organizations have to pad everything. So there's a $700 OR rental fee on there. That's so it's just so that the doc can use the the OR to run your MRI with contrast or whatever, or to do the spinal injection, I think it was, and so there's all these fees, separate fees tacked on, right? Because they know that the insurance is going to chop that up and not reimburse at 100%. Like no insurance reimburses anybody at 100%. Which is why when you go in anywhere, like I took my son when he had flu over to the pediatrician, and they said if you pay at time of service, and you're paying cash and you're not insured, it's 40% off our price. Just out of or 50 or 60% off. I can't remember, but it was a huge percentage off what they would bill if they went to insurance, because that's the game. So we should all be educated.
Well, at least that's
consumers.
changed. I remember at one point you couldn't get a cash discount because that was the insurance rules.
Well, technically, by law, if you have insurance, you're not allowed to just pay cash. You have to use your insurance. If you go over to the ER for whatever reason and you tell them that you have insurance, you have to use it, even if you paid out of pocket, it would have been cheaper. Which for a lot of people, I don't know anybody anymore who has less than a $5,000 deductible, right? Do you have less than a $5,000 deductible? $1,500?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, it is, but I'm also paying dearly for it at the front end.
Right. Well, and that's the issue, right?
It's almost $500 a month at the front end.
Right.
But
yeah.
I would rather do that than.
But that's $6,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Right, plus $1,500 plus your copay. That's $7,500 a year minimum.
Well, the
that's
other
before
option
you actually get any care.
The other option would have been to pay just slightly less than $400 a month for the $5,000 deductible, which would have still worked out to $900.
Like $10,000 a year. Yeah. I'm just saying that's a boatload of money every year.
Because one of these days I'm going to let the insurance company have it. I'm going to go in there and let them have it with everything that's wrong.
Just use them up.
Oh, they're going to be like, "What happened?"
I know. Yeah.
That was 2003 when I almost died.
Okay.
So it's been about 15 years. So I've racked up a good credit.
Well, and that's just it, right? And that's how insurance makes a boatload of money. Is assuming that most of us, most of the time, are healthy and not accessing care. And I was talking to somebody about this yesterday in my office because we were talking about coming in for a new patient visit, and it's a chunk of money out of pocket. And what's happening now is that because most of us are paying $500 a month and then have a deductible on top of that, we want to use that insurance. We want it to be good for something. And so a lot of people will end up not choosing to pay out of pocket because they're already paying through the nose for their insurance, and they want to get some value out of it.
Sure.
When there's actually less and less value with insurance these days.
Fortunately, the companies I've been with all have like the annual wellness thing where you get like a visit.
Sure, but what's that? But if you paid out of pocket $200 max?
Yeah.
So,
but that's okay.
But that's like $7,000 visit if you don't use it for the rest of the year.
Well, thank God I haven't had any issues that really.
And that's just it, right? But that's what insurance is based on, right? Is
you're gambling.
It's all very fear based. Well, what if the worst happens? You want to be insured in case the worst happens.
I want to be insured. Just give me a syringe full of something that'll knock me out.
Right, absolutely.
No, I'll go with that insurance plan.
Well, that's choice for sure. But I feel for people who are paying a lot of money for insurance, especially if you've got a family of 4 that you're trying to insure, and you're not working for a larger company that has subsidized insurance. A lot of us, I think it's something like 80% of people in Durango are self-employed, something like that.
Right.
It was crazy, or how many small businesses there are. So a lot of us are having to figure this out on our own, and that's hard. And so if you are going to pony up the cash to cover for insurance, then it really puts you in financial straits to choose any other healthcare option. I was talking with our massage therapist at Pura Vida about the medical necessity of massage, and trying to change that perception from, oh, isn't this like this lovely, relaxing, luxurious thing that I get to do because I've got so much excess cash flow, and really looking at it as therapeutically beneficial, not only for your physical body, if you've got aches and pains and low back issues or knee issues or whatever, or you're going into surgery or you come out of surgery, massage is incredibly important for benefiting that. But then not only to mention your mental, emotional well-being and relaxing the nervous system. That's priceless.
Yeah, I love-
especially in this day and age.
Yeah, I love when they just say, "Oh, well, that's not a necessary medical thing." Well, it might be an excellent preventative.
Well, and not only preventative, it's
Or
an effective
post.
treatment.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I was having pretty intense.
Why are we
shoulder-
not in charge?
That is it. Well, it's an excellent question and kind of an obvious question all at the same time, isn't it?
I'm not taking that bait.
How's your muffin?
What kind of muffin am I eating here?
It's a vanilla cherry muffin. It's a little dry. We made them on Sunday, so I wouldn't call them, fresh out of the oven.
Put a bite in my mouth and I take a drink of water and then
I'm talking more because it's expand.
So the reason I brought you this is because you can pack a lot of nutrition into something as simple as a muffin. And so muffins traditionally are pretty much like cupcakes with blueberries on the inside instead of chocolate chips. But you can actually make muffins so that they're really, really healthful. So that one was made with almond flour as a base, so there's no gluten in it whatsoever.
I love gluten.
Well, that's okay. You love almonds too now, apparently. So almond flour, and it had chia seeds in there, and the chia is really high in
So
fiber.
great, I'm going to be a
and-
chia pet now. I'm going to have
and
hair growing all over
protein.
my back.
No, just in your intestines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Steve, I hope you're listening. You can have my hairy intestines. All right, 970-553-9001 is our text line. 970-385-1053 is the number if you want to call and talk to Dr. Nicola for Pure Vid Health. I got more texts coming up here.
Okay, great.
And the muffin is good. I actually enjoyed it.
Okay, great.
It didn't have green stuff in it that I could see.
It didn't, but I just wanted you to know that having a muffin for breakfast, you can have a lot of protein and get a lot of nutrition.
Oh,
Just
great.
like one-
You probably made it with poppy seeds, and now if I have to go take a pee test, I'm going to test positive. Oh, wait, it's legal.
Just chia
Don't-
seeds. Just chia seeds.
Don't worry about it. It's legal. It's the Rock Doctor on X-Rock 105.
Are you all about coffee? Roaster-driven coffee from Taste Coffee is what you need. Taste Coffee.
I wasn't bad at all.
Inside
I love
the 11th
muffins.
Street station
Oh,
on
see, there we go.
Main Avenue in
Keep eating
downtown
it. I was
Durango.
like,
We
all right.
proudly serve desert
Did you try it?
Happy
Good
birthday!
Yeah, your birthday muffin.
Thank you.
It's a birthday muffin. You gotta try it.
All right.
Check us out on Instagram
will.
and Facebook at tastecoffeedurango.com. Our coffee is so
Thank you
good,
for this,
there's
by
no
the way.
need to hide the flavor with anything. Taste Coffee.
Should have brought them to you closer to Sunday.
I like how you made them
Season is almost here.
more kind of like the bite size.
Well, they're supposed to be normal size. It just didn't really rise at all. They're dense. But they're good, right? Yeah, we cut up dried white peaches, like into little strips, and put peaches and cherries and cranberries in there. Yeah, and pecans, and they're good, huh?
Yeah, they were great flavor.
Yeah, and Jackson's like, "Can I have a cupcake for breakfast?" I was like, "Yes, you can."
You can have two.
Yeah, you can have two. I know. So I sent them with them. And plus, they're not. I know exactly what ingredients are in there, right? Because part of it is that we're trying to get easy snacks for him. And I'm like, we're buying bars, and they're $3 a pop, and I'm just like, so it's cheaper and just healthier to just have a stash at home. So on Sundays, I've been trying to just make a few things and just have stuff in the house that they can grab. Tomorrow, Sunday.
That's really good. And I talk about making bars all the time because I can't find anything that has what I want.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's too expensive.
How about joining me on the lunchbox
And
for
honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
made some, I really know it's in it.
Yeah.
But now that they're telling me,
I know.
I
Yeah.
kind of.
And this
Here we
I
go,
did. I
guys.
use erythritol.
Here we go.
So there's
Here we
no
go.
sugar in it.
The Rock Doctor is on the radio. It's our final segment. 970-385-1053 if you've got a question. Or you can text us at 970-553-9001. Dr. Nicola from Pure Vita Healthcare is in the studio. All right, let's get this one in here from Wade. Why does the office say to get to an appointment 30 minutes early, then make me wait an hour past the appointment time?
Oh, Wade, I feel ya. I totally get it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think they're overbooked. It's kind of like when you show up for a flight and they're like, not everybody can get on. It's like, say what? Don't you know how many seats are going to be in the airplane? You choose just sell that many. And so I think they're packing it in to assume that people won't show up or that sort of thing. And then if something gets complicated, then there's not time and space to cover it.
Okay.
Yeah, but
All right.
and the half an hour early is primarily so you can fill out paperwork and that sort of thing. But it is interesting because I think if you don't show up within 5 minutes of your appointment, even if they're not ready for you, you lose your appointment.
I had that happen to me once.
Really?
One of my kids broke his arm.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going back to get the cast removed. I mean, he's already seen the doctor. It's been whatever weeks. And there was a traffic accident. So I couldn't get there on time. And this was back before the days of everybody having a cell phone.
Sure,
so
sure.
there was no way to call and say, hey, we're running late. Got there actually about 2 minutes before the appointment. Said, you were supposed to be here 30 minutes ago. Oh, man, my appointment's at 11:30. She goes, you need to be here half hour. And she was a real about it. Said, well, we'll try and schedule you back in as soon as possible. We sat there for about an hour and a half.
Oh, no.
And I said, you know what? No, I'm not. We just left. I took the cast off.
Did you?
Yeah. It was just one of those fiberglass things. You get out the tin snips, boom, you're done.
Oh, okay.
And
I was like imagining you with like the chainsaw, like.
Sorry, doctor. No, I mean, and I brought him to my personal doctor just to check it out.
Yeah, sure.
And everything was fine. But they still tried to bill me for that office visit.
What?
And they're like, oh, no, it's in our fine print that if you don't show up, honey, I was there.
Right, for 2 hours.
And then, well, how I ended up, I sent them a bill for my time.
Oh.
And so I guess and it was coincidentally the same amount as the traffic, or as the, as their office charge.
Oh, fascinating.
So,
So
hey,
just
you
canceled out.
want to go, sweetheart? We can go.
Yeah.
I just thought that was rude, I mean,
it is, and I mean, and it's funny because I have a tendency, and I try really hard not to, but I have a tendency to run about 10 minutes over, and so I'm about 10-15 minutes late on average, especially by the end of the day. And I'm apologize to all my patients that have been sitting in my waiting room because I try really hard not to do that. But it's interesting. I had this one patient, and I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry to keep you waiting. And she said, I've actually been in your office when you've gone over for me when I've needed it. So I don't have any problem sitting out here waiting for you because I know you're doing that for somebody else. And that made me feel a lot better about it.
And what I think a lot of practices could benefit is just keep us informed. Hi, Mr. Osborne.
Right.
I know your appointment was at 12. Dr. So-and-so's running a little late.
Right.
In fact, you want to go out and grab a cup of coffee real quick?
Yeah.
Come back in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Why don't they do that?
Because I think it gets complicated because then if the doctor's ready for you and you're not in there because she told you to go out for 15 minutes and the doc's ready for you in 10.
Well, then the doc can go out and have a cup of coffee. Maybe the doctors. When do doctors go to the bathroom?
Well, that's a really good question. It's probably why it's an extra 5 minutes twice a day when they allow themselves to do that. And most docs I know aren't sitting and having this long lunch. They're like grabbing something out of the break room and grabbing a muffin that's probably not as healthy as the one you just ate. And so because I actually talked to a couple of doctors about worksite wellness for their staff because there's a lot of candy and grab and go and not a lot of time to sit and eat and so we talk about just having grab and go stuff in the staff room that's healthier choices.
I've wondered that. You're seeing, and this was a fairly large practice where it happened.
Absolutely.
How do you see 10 people in an hour? Now, granted, there's 4 doctors doing it, but still.
Well, I mean, and my concern for those folks is when are they drinking any water? Because they never walk in with a beverage, and if they're seeing patients back to back for 3, 4, or 5 hours at a stint, that's probably why they don't have to go to the bathroom.
You know what I miss about my old doctor, especially the one that saved my life? I miss sitting in his office having a cigarette with him.
Really?
It was the funniest darn thing.
That is the weirdest.
What?
Yeah.
He would go, all right, well, Jamie, we beat the whole thing, the whole strep infection. And he light up a cigarette, and I was smoking at the time as well. And he goes, you really got to quit these things. And I would just laugh at him. And he was a kind of heavier set guy, so it was just like, you're going to talk nutrition and smoking with me?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he saved my life, so...
Well, absolutely. And again, doctors are humans. I mean, we all have vices. We all have something that we do.
Really? What's yours? I want to hear about Dr. Nicholas' vice.
Oh, really?
Careful, your husband's here. I can ask him.
Yes, you could. Well, if you were out with us last night, you would have seen me having a margarita.
That's not a vice. There's nothing wrong with having a drink.
Well, right, but most of us, most vices aren't problematic. They're just something we rely on all the time.
I mean, I saw, I caught some crap for there was a meme that was going around talking about, if a guy has like more than 20 orgasms in a month, it reduces statistically the chances of prostate cancer.
Oh, okay.
And I put a thing up there that says, well, I'm not only getting a workout, but I'm reducing my risk. And some people were offended by that.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, this could be, we should talk about this during one show, but I mean, sexual health is important. And
Even if it's by yourself.
Even if it's by yourself, it's still pleasurable, ideally.
Well, yeah.
Or passes the time, whatever.
I think of it as a workout. 1, 2, I'm doing those curls.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've talked about this. We've got a couple minutes left. At what point does something... What?
Huh, no, go ahead. Ready.
No, I'm just wondering, when does something cross the line from being, having a margarita
Right.
to becoming a problem?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with getting in the way of your other activities. If I had 6 margaritas and didn't show up for the show today, that's more of a problem. Because I'm hungover, I'm tired, or...
Well, we'd have to bring
Could
Dr. Cherie in for
Right.
that then.
Well, she probably would have been in bed too because we were out together.
Well, then it would have been Jamie and Kevin.
Right.
Talking healthcare. Oh boy, that would have been great.
Super exciting. But so I think it's when it crosses the line of where you don't have a choice, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm really tired and I don't feel like going out versus, well, I need to have a couple of drinks before I can get settled down or relax or go to bed or go to sleep. So for me, it's a question of dependence of like, I have to do this to get right. Be that I have to have 2 cups of coffee in the morning, otherwise I cannot function. Or I have to have a few drinks, or I have to have cannabis in order to be calm enough to go to work, or to help me transition when I get home from work, whatever. Or I need to have so much sex that it's getting in the way of me actually having a relationship. Or
So am I wrong in saying I have to do this so I don't get prostate cancer?
I think that's more of an excuse or a rationalization. I think we will find...
Every week we manage to talk about Jamie.
I know, I should start billing you.
That's a privilege to sit in here and have these discussions with me.
Oh, thank you for educating me.
Yeah,
I
sure.
definitely missed that.
We both said rolling our eyes, making faces at the camera. By the way, you post this show on your Facebook page.
Yes, so on Dr. Nicola on
and
Facebook.
we also do it on the X-Rock page. So if you missed any of this show, or if we're that bad, you can always go back and rewatch it.
Yeah, or
Because my facial expression... No, actually... Dr. Nicola's facial expressions are priceless.
we should probably get it closer so you can actually see all of the...
I
Forehead wrinkles.
archived last week's because the look on her face when I showed her that kidney stone. That in 20 years when this show is long forgotten, I'm gonna pop into your Facebook page and hey, remember this?
That was when you showed me your kidney stone.
I'm gonna freeze frame it and enhance it.
Yeah, those are awesome. The freeze frames. Everybody looks great when people do that. But no, I think if it's when it gets in the way of other things, or if you can't put it down, and so even exercise can be like that. I've got some friends that I know who literally can't go more than 24 hours without a long, long run, and it is starting to impact their health, or maybe they've got a hitch in their gait or a bum knee or whatever, but they're not going to stop running because they're that reliant on it. So it doesn't have to be cannabis or alcohol or caffeine or sugar that are the issues, because we all know, quote unquote, those are in the bad category, which I don't agree with. But it's really anything that we have to do to feel okay. I really want people to just feel good in their own person, and then we start using alcohol or cannabis recreationally or whatever. But
back to that old saying, maybe everything in moderation,
including moderation.
Including moderation in moderation?
Yeah. Because some people get so hung up on, well, I can't do this and I can't do that, and this is healthy for me, and this is, what does moderate sugar mean, and which sugars are okay, that it's becomes stressful. So everything in moderation, even moderation, which means
cannabis and that'll...
Well, or if you're at a birthday party or you're at a special event and you have 2 desserts because you said you're going to share one and you don't, and you end up having 4, just that's okay.
It's normal.
But you can't do that every single day. But everything in moderation, including moderation.
Let's see. Yeah, we're in the studio. Tried to call, no answer. Well, too bad we're out of time for today. That was our last text. We answered the phone twice. You weren't there. Okay, so
Call back next week. We'd love to hear from you.
if folks have a question or want to get in touch with you,
Yeah, come and see us over at Pura Vida Healthcare on 12th Street, which is right across from Buckley Park, or give us a call, 970-426-1684. And I would love to connect with you, so if you want to get on our newsletter, that would be great, or find me on Facebook, and I've got a little private group we've got going on, so we can share on Facebook.
Dr. Nicola, always a slice of heaven.
Wow. Right back at you.
Hey, join us again next week for the Rock Doctor on X-Rock 10.
5, 3.
Yay!
Woohoo! Can you hit finish, please?
Finish?
Yes.